Hello and welcome into the SorareAndrews podcast brought to you by RotoWire and sponsored by Sorare. I am Andrew Laird, Senior Soccer Editor of RotoWire. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always by Andy Black, who you can find on Sorare as Black. Andy, how goes it?
Going pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. We are talking about super rares tonight, which is a topic that I've had more people ask me about for us to cover than anything. And I didn't want to avoid talking about it, but I felt like we had other topics to go on. And finally, I was like, there are too many people asking for us to talk about this. So here we are. And
well, I found that funny because I did see a lot of people mentioning it too. But then when we opened the forum up for questions, it was like crickets.
I think most people just were like, just talk about them. Just tell me how to get them. And just let me have some, and then we'll be fine. You obviously have a very different history with Sorare than I do. Just the fact that you've been on the platform much longer, and so I imagine our super rare accumulations have been very different. From somebody who started early, what was the original kind of push to make you think I should buy some of these?
Yeah, the bonus. So now it's like the big reason to have them is, to kind of get into D2, we've kind of talked and floated back and forth whether you need them or not in D3. And I think what we've kind of come to find is it's nice and you can be more competitive with them, but of course you don't have to have them to compete at a high level. But to get into D2, you have to have them. The division structure never used to be that way. The only reason you would want them is because they had a higher power, which was basically the bonus on the card. But the bonus on the card used to be so much more important. Because a rare started at 7.2x. So whatever your score was, you got a multiplier of 7.2x. And then I think that the super rares went into the mid to high 20s. So
wow.
if your player scored 10 points and you had a 30x super rare, that's 300 points. Same thing with a rare, you're only looking at 70 points or 700 or 72 points or whatever. So Massive difference. And there would even be situations. I know AJ, he bought a Julian Gressel who that was one of his first unique cards that he purchased. And this is before the switch between power and bonus percentage. And Gressel was not playing well, and he did not score that well. But his bonus on that unique that AJ had was it was 90x or something. So he could score 4 points, and it was still a good card to play because. So his decision making was do I play a player that I think will do good, or do I put in a 90x multiplier player? And thank God they got rid of that because. It incentivized you to buy the higher tiered cards, but you could get away with playing a complete, obviously somebody that has a good card is going to do better, but you could play a player that wasn't that good that just had a giant multiplier on them. So long story short, I bought them to get the higher multipliers because those players were more effective in Division 3 and Division 2. They didn't get me into those divisions. They didn't allow me to unlock the ability to play in that division, but they basically gave me that bonus that, if they did score a goal or something, then I was, looking at maybe a podium or whatever.
Did the pitchforks come out when they changed how they multiply, basically?
No, everybody knew that had to stop because every division had a power cap. So Division 4, every card started with 7.2x, and the power cap was 42, I think, 42x. So your 5 cards couldn't go above that. But what would happen is you'd end up getting a player that was 10x, or you'd get a bunch of players that were 10x. And obviously you can't have 5 10x players. That's 50x. So you were trying to find the right manipulation of players to hit 42. So in short, training and XP was bad.
Right.
Because it would put you over the cap. And then the what was worse was when you did get like a Vanaken that was like high power for a rare, like 12% or something, that was still too low for it to be competitive, like super competitive in Division 3 and Division 2. So you'd move it up into that other division thinking, okay, this will give me a better chance or whatever, and I'll stay under the cap. But then it was still so underpowered.
You're just getting slaughtered.
Yeah, right. So it was a bad setup, and I think everybody knew it and realized that there had to be the next iteration. So what we see now is what they've fixed, how they fixed it, and it is much better.
I was saying to somebody the other day that I think the Sorare scoring matrix is one of the better fantasy scoring matrices I've seen. Mm-hmm. But hearing just how, like, that sounds like a disaster, what you were describing. Like, none of that sounds fun. It was like, oh, wait, let me trade my 12% Vanaken for an 8% so I can enter D. Like, that sounds awful.
And that's what the trading forums really were. Like when you went out onto the Sorare Discord and you were trading, a lot of times it was just, hey, I've got a 9x Vanaken and I need to trade it for somebody that has one that's 8.4x or below. And a lot of the transfers between people, like I know people saw like the swapping of cards and stuff, but I mean a lot of that was just so you could stay under power caps. So you'd say, hey buddy, I see you got the same card I got. Would you like a higher powered version of him? Because I need a 7.2x one. And there were situations where people were in a spot where they did want the higher power card. Like especially on a star player, you want the most power in that one star player that you had. But still, like just lineup construction every week, you had to tear everything down and rebuild because if a player put you over the cap, now you had to find a new piece to that jigsaw puzzle to put it together. So it was crazy.
We've got a comment here from HG. He said that was also a way to encourage people to buy new cards, which is really funny because you're like, oh wait, let me go buy one because it has lower XP.
Yeah, for sure.
And now they're giving out extra XP for buying new cards, at least the 5% bonus. That sounds awful. That all sounds awful. I'm glad I came in after that because I'm not sure I would have stuck around. So you don't really buy cards, or let me rephrase that. Your primary reason for buying cards is utility in the game. It's not necessarily collectability. But when did you start thinking about collectability in terms of super rare cards?
Mostly Chelsea players because blue is the color, so and that's the chant. So I don't know. I think it's cool to have blue players that play for Chelsea. So like that Havertz super rare is a pretty cool card to me. Right. But like from a collectability standpoint, I mean you're looking at 1 of 10. We've talked about this before. 1 of 10 is a very low number. So I think that the exclusivity of owning a 1 of 10 is pretty awesome. And it's funny because the first thing I have on our notes is, super rares are 10 times more scarce than a rare. They should be 10 times more expensive, right? Obviously they're not.
No.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's the whatever the floor entry is always going to be pushed up because people want to come in and they have to buy whatever that floor card is. So I think that those are always going to be pushed up, and whatever the next tier is, there's always going to be fewer people that want to play or want the more quote unquote exclusive cards.
Yeah, I think, it's the demand side of it that there are not the same number of people. I mean, I take that back. Well, I think the people want them. I think everybody who owns rare cards would surely want super rares. But at like a 10x multiple from the rare card, it's just not, the economy is not there for it. And so that's why they're not 10 times more expensive.
Yeah. And Surface makes a good point. Like, yeah, the rare cards, they do have a little more utility because you can play them in D4, D3, and in fact, you can even play one in D2. So yeah, you can play them in a lot more divisions than a super rare card. So that's a good point.
Yeah, so at how many rare cards did you own
before I started buying super rares?
Yeah.
Way too many. Yeah.
What is that though?
I don't know. I don't remember what it was. It was just, I remember at some point I was like, whoa, I have all these rare cards, and maybe I should start buying super rares. And in fact, it was like a moment where I was like, wow, look at the stupidity here. I wanted all of these different players, and there were players I wanted to collect and everything, but it really wasn't targeted around like attacking the game. And it should have been more about attacking the game and purchasing the cards that make the most sense for those divisions. And I think that the habit, like as humans, we always want more, not necessarily like better. So, and I don't know if that's like a hoarding mechanism in our brains or what, but I don't know. Like, it took me way too long to start dipping into the super rares. And in fact, if I could go back, it would have been like, I would have started way sooner. And now it's just like, that's all I'll sort the primary market by.
I do the same thing now, but I'm obviously in a slightly different spot. Do you feel that you should have 10 times as many rares as super rares though? Because if that's the case, then you're like 400 rare cards short. No,
not necessarily, because like we said, you can play you have to play more rares. I'm going to play in more Division 4s than I play in Division 2s, and technically more Division 3s than I play in more Division 2s. So it's just more, I need more red.
You have, I'm looking at Sorare data now, you have 261 rare cards and 63 super rares.
Yeah.
Still no unique. Have you ever bought a unique?
No, I've won one.
Oh, but you don't have it anymore.
No, I sold it. Because at the time that I sold it, you couldn't play it in D2.
Oh, okay.
If I could have played it at that time, I might have kept it. It was I sold it to Sorare. It was a Robin Jansen from Orlando. It was a tier 2 unique that I won for winning Champion America D2 sometime last year, when Ladero and Jordan Morris did not have busted up knees.
Oh, don't you have a super rare?
I have who? Jansen, yeah. Yeah, now I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still like the player.
He's all right.
That's kind of like
he's got a cool face mask. Have you seen his face mask?
Oh, I haven't yet. No.
He broke his nose like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and he's got an incredible mask that he wore. Yeah. You'll have to check it out.
So I obviously started buying them much later than you. And I also wish I started buying them earlier. I'll be honest, Evaldo, who was on one of our shows a while ago, was the first one to tell me that I should buy super rares. And I was like, oh, they're just like, at the time they were just way out of my budget. The two things he told me early on was buy goalies and buy super rares. And I'm like, I'll get there one day. And now I'm like, he was exactly right.
Yeah. And
I will say that he told me that you told him that.
Yeah.
So that's the initial place for this advice. And I don't remember like why I bought my first super rare. Like, I think I was just getting to the point where it's not like my teams were that great in D4, but I was like, I ran out of regions to play D4. So I was like, I'm going to have to go to D3. And I just wasn't having success with 5 rares. And we talked previously about like, you can enter 5 rares in D3 and be successful. I think the classic 5-man River Plate stack was the example that we used months ago, although it almost won this past weekend. But it just didn't feel like I had a shot without super rares. And so I was like, I have to buy one. And then I buy one and it's like, I'm not really still competing enough. So now I have to buy another one. And then it just keeps going from there. And I have 8 now. 2 guys are not playing. They're all from MLS because
2 guys in the Gold Cup, right?
Right, 2 guys from the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And the ones that I have aren't like, I didn't buy like expensive super rares. I basically tried to find guys that were either coming back from injury or just were in terrible form.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can wait it out because
I was talking to PSU fans yesterday, and I was telling them you bought that Albert Rusnak at the perfect time possible. Like, he had scored like 40 or less all year. And then you just happened to buy him with your golden Midas touch over there, and look at his last like 8 games.
So the worst part about buying that card though is that I was like, I'm good at this. And the ones that I bought since then really just haven't been great. But yeah, that was the first one. And I just remember when I bought it, Sean knows who I bought it from. They're friends. And he was like, I told him he shouldn't have sold that card to you.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have. And thank goodness he did though. So, but that's just like what started it. But it was to the point where I just didn't feel like, not that I thought my D4 teams were awesome. It's not like I was like winning great cards every week and I was like, I got to move up.
Right.
It just felt like it was worth taking the shot because I was basically like submitting extra rare cards into D3. Well, I'm getting nowhere.
I know your D4 teams pretty well, and just thinking about them, it's like, how could you have improved them by adding a card? I don't really know. Like, I guess you could have maybe bought like a Vela and play him over like who you have at forward now, Casper. But it's like, is that enough of an improvement, or are you better just like running another team? You know, like another lottery. Would you rather have another lottery ticket or a little bit better lottery ticket?
Right. Well, that's sort of how it felt. And I also decided to start playing D3 when they completely nerfed the D3 prize pool. Like, days later, they were like, great news, better cards in D3. And I'm like, this is great. And they're like, and we're giving out 4 of them. And I was like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. But I convinced myself that they were so bad, like that the reward structure was so bad that I was like, they're going to have to add cards to this because this makes no sense. And other people agreed and they did. So yeah.
Yeah, so they definitely did. Like both D3 and D2 are a lot better. D3 is I think D3 is great. Like, I looked at it this week and I actually prioritized Division 3, I think All-Star. Like, I think that was one of the first lineups I set because I thought that the prizes were pretty good there.
They do look good.
I mean, I think there was like 15 star rares or something.
Yeah, there's 12 in America.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull up this this comment from, I'm going to say Skate Perez too. Here we go. So apologies for those who are listening. But he said, I was having this debate with somebody. Why would I pay 10x for Tim Parker when I can just, or 0.2 when I can just pay 0.18 for a Jack Elliott for D3 use? I assume that's a Tim Parker super rare versus a Jack Elliott rare. So I went back and forth on this because we talked about this before we started recording, but like one of the first super rares I bought, not Rusnak, was a player whose rare card I had. And I had that same thought, like, should I just buy a super rare of this player? And it didn't matter that it was the same player, but like, or should I just get a better a better rare card? And it just felt like the better rare card had to like hit the ceiling for it to really beat kind of an average score for the super rare. And that's kind of what led me there. But I don't know. I just felt like I just wasn't seeing enough 5 rare D3 teams winning that I thought it was viable.
I think like that's a weird question because like I think it's like the classic, do I want a mediocre super rare or a stud rare? And I think that there's a lot of factors there. Like a good example is like if Albert Rusnak would not have started going nuts, we would have looked at that card and said, oh, you bought a mediocre super rare. But you bought a good player that was out of form, and now he's in form. So I wouldn't look at guys like Tim Parker. Like Tim Parker, I think is a bad comparable because he is what he is. Like I don't think that he's ever going to flip the switch and be a stud. Not to get into talking about like too specifics on players, but like Tim Parker, right? Albert Rusnak has proven that he can play at a high level and score really well in this matrix at times. So I think that those are much different players, and I think that those are the types of guys. Like if you're looking for a deal, those like high upside guys out of form are the guys that you want to target if you can get them cheap.
Do you know how old Tim Parker is?
I would say like 34. I don't know.
28.
Wild.
Spring chicken, that guy. I actually, like, somebody brought him up to me the other day, and I was like, oh, I'll look at it. And yeah, much younger than I thought. But so the super rare that I bought after Rusnak, if I remember this correctly, was Larry Smabiala, who I love because two Larrys is better than one Larry.
That's right.
But like that's the very definition of like your run of the mill MLS defender. Like he averages around 50. Like he's not terrible, and he plays for a good team. Mm-hmm. But I got that one for 0.06. He was injured at the time, but it's like I know he's a starter. And I kind of had the same thought when I bought the Rusnak one. That I'm like, this guy is better than he's playing. Like if he's actually just terrible and the last few years were a mirage, then like I'm gonna just have to eat it on this one.
Yeah.
But I was willing, like I didn't pay that much for it, so the risk wasn't all that bad. But Mabiala just felt like an easy one. But then I'm like, am I hurting myself? And that's the example. Am I hurting myself playing Mabiala super rare instead of should I just go buy the Jack Elliott?
Yeah. I don't know. How have you done with that card?
Fine, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I bought that Harrison card. It's the same thing. I bought it for 0.06, and I get it. He's a fullback, and you know they're very, I don't know, inconsistent. Is that the word that I should be using? But I bought him for 0.06, probably right around the same time you bought the Larry's. By the way, is that Larius? Is that how you pronounce it, or is it?
Oh, is it?
I don't know.
I just always hear them say Mabiala, so I just
okay. Any rate, bought it around the same time, I think, and yeah, I had the Midas touch on that card because all of a sudden he's like 180, 70, and it's like on a card for 0.06 a super rare. Like if you're on a budget, those are the types of guys that like you gotta just like take flyers on, and sure you'll hit lightning in a bottle on some are gonna be just crap, and you know. Harrison's not going to be great forever. He's 30. He's like 35.
Yeah.
So I think he just turned 35. I think so. His birthday was over the weekend, and he didn't play on his birthday, which was disappointing. But
so that's after. So that's after July 1st. So Sorare actually thinks he's still 34. So you can still play him in a 34 and
in a 34 and under league or over. Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
Lucky guy. You mentioned earlier that you just sort the transfer market by super rares, and that's totally what I do. And then I sort it by literally cheapest, and I'm like, all right, who we got today? I found that to be a terrible way to find cards, to find super rares. And
what an auction?
Auctions are fine. I have like significant regrets about how I've bid on super rares that I've wanted. And the one that always got me was Jefferson Soteldo, if that's even how you say his name, from Toronto.
The guy plays for Toronto, yeah.
So he was hurt for a while, and his super rares came up, and I was like, this guy's really good, but he's hurt right now, but I'll wait because he's good. Pozzuelo was banged up too. And I'm like, when he comes back, he's going to be really good. And I remember, I think I bid on I think he's had 3 super rare auctions. I bid on all of them. And I got to the point where I was like, it was just whoever, I didn't bid correctly. And so whoever bid above me was the price I wanted. And I refused to go up. And I should have just gone up for one of them, but I didn't. But anyway.
I probably have bad advice on this, but my advice on whenever you're auctioning, like trying to buy a super rare at auction, if it's somebody that you really want, just overpay for them.
I know.
or whatever in your mind is like your like stopping point, go one more bid. Because I think people are pretty close on where they like value these guys. And in the grand scheme of things, one more bid, as opposed to not getting a 1 of 10 of somebody that you really want, you might as well just bite the bullet, overpay the 0.1 or whatever, and get your guy. If that's your guy, get him.
I think that's the biggest difference I've seen between rares and super rares, in that because there are so few of them, it's not that you have to overpay for them, but you have to be at least as close to fair as possible. And I feel like with rare cards, people are always going to underbid or, under offer, and you find somebody who takes it and it's a jackpot and you're all happy. I just don't see it happening much with super rares, although I literally had a conversation like 20 minutes ago about the Marcinkowski super rare that just went for 0.5 that I thought was a steal. But anyway, how do you...
I think that was a star super rare reward.
Yes,
if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yes. So how do you buy them? Like, do you tend to get them at auction? Like, you don't, not that you don't need as many anymore, but like you're not in the building phase of your super rare collection.
Well, I am. Like, I mean,
you're not in the foundation building.
Yeah, like Challenger Europe. Like I can't play D2 in Challenger Europe. Like really, like competitively. So like I have to buy some for that region, and at some point I'll be picking some up, and probably at auction. I think that with all of the new cards getting ready to pop out, there might be some better chances to get something, where we feel like we're getting either a deal or, honestly, I'm not even looking for a deal. I just want fair market price.
Right.
And so I think that there'll be some chances for that when the new cards pop out. And then also too, like if there's a specific player I'm targeting, it's hard to approach somebody and be like, all right, I want your Charles de Ketelaere. Maybe I got that right. I want his super rare, and they're like, okay, there's 12 of those in existence. Pay me.
Right, maybe.
Pay me. And it's like they get to name their price kind of. And like I think that I have a better chance at getting like a marked man like that, like a guy that like everybody knows he's a great player. For me to get a guy like that from like a private offer, I'm gonna have to pay an arm and a leg. But I think at auction I have a better chance at just like paying whatever the going rate is. And then maybe one bid on top.
Right. What steps do you take to try to figure out what a fair market value is for a card? For super rare.
Yeah, I kind of talked about this before privately with you, and I think that you just have to look at what I like to do is I like to look at the player rankings page, and I like to look at their like 1 month average on rares. And like for most, I would say most, because this is not across the board, but for most super rares, it's like 4 to 5x of what the going rate for the rare is.
So not 10. It sounds like a steal.
Definitely not 10, yeah. And I think for the most part, I think 4 to 5x is about right. There'll be instances of you'll see a guy that's 3x for whatever reason, or maybe 6x for whatever reason, but it's usually floating somewhere in that region.
So you look at rares first?
Well, I look at the rare 1 month average price.
Let me see if I can pull this up here. So we were talking about this before, and you were like, you should pull up the rankings page on Sorare data so we can see, because you can see pretty clearly the 1 month average for prices. And I was like, will do. And I pull it up and I'm like, there are no super rares. Like, this is MLS. Yeah. And so we're like, this league is going on. There should be plenty of movement.
Yeah.
I mean, of the top 6, we have 1 super rare that's traded in the last month.
Right.
2.7 looks pretty good for Carlos Heel.
Yeah.
But like, they really just don't sell. Like, for those looking, I apologize for those listening, but like those watching this video, like it's just no sale after no sale after no sale.
Yeah. And the hard part here is that's all I think like secondary market, right?
Yes.
I think if somehow you could pull that auction data in, or if you just wanted to examine one player, like go look at Jack Price's auctions. And I think he'll have probably a pretty high-priced super rare just with how good of a scorer he is. I'll bet he's over 1.
His last super rare was June 18th, 0.823.
Okay, so what is that, like 4x on him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 4x.
Yeah, and like the Carlos Gil, like 2.7 from 5.3. I guess that's about 5x, but I think that one just auctioned like super recently. Maybe it was around 2.7. I don't know. I didn't think it was that high.
It's opening a new one, but let me see here. It was wasn't no, you're right. 2.7 was the 4 of 10.
Okay, so right around 5x on.
Oh, that was the price. That's it. That's the only one. That's why it's there. But it does include auctions.
Gotcha.
Of course it does.
Yeah, so I don't know, 4 to 5x on those is I think about right. But then again, like if it's a guy that you really want, like you really want Carlos Gil, and his super rare is auctioning right now, would you not pay 3? If that was a player that you had to have, would you pay 3 ETH for him? Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't.
I'm not either. I don't have 3 ETH, but
right, I don't have 3 ETH.
If that was the guy that I decided I have to have him,
right?
What's the difference between 2 point? Like, am I gonna let him slip away for 0.3?
I think once you're in that range, I agree.
Yeah, it's just like, no, that's my guy. I need him. I have to have him. I'll pay whatever. I'll pay the extra 0.3 for him.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. That's a high number, though.
It is a very high number.
Yeah. So the advice that I told somebody the other day, and I was hesitant to talk about it on this podcast because not that I think it's some like brilliant strategy here, but I actually think I'm going to end up having people piss other people off.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to say it anyway. The way that I found some of my super rares was searching players who have been, or searching Sorare managers who have won super rares and don't use them.
Yeah.
And with a combination of Sorare's info and Sorare data, like you can see if somebody has a super rare and doesn't use them.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for my last one. And I contacted somebody at, just on Discord. Thankfully they were on Discord. And I just said, I'm looking to acquire this card. Do you have any interest in selling it? And I'm really trying to tread lightly here. So
just go for it, man.
The people who win a lot of super rares aren't always concerned with prices in my price range.
Yeah, they're not looking to milk you for everything that you're worth. Is that what you're trying to say?
It's not even that. It's more that they are not selling this card. So like that's a whole nother topic of like what you do.
How about this? This is a good example. AJ won that Markowski or Mark however you pronounce it. He won that card. He complained about it on Twitter, and then he went and sold it for what I thought was a pretty reasonable price, 0.5.
Like,
would that be the type of card that you're talking about?
I would have bought that card had I known I could have gotten it for 0.5. And I don't know if he posted it in the secondary market or not, but I have a Osvaldo Alanis super rare. So like Marcinkowski makes sense. I think he's a terrible goalkeeper, and I don't have any interest in buying his rare card, but like it makes sense for me to own that card because of a super rare that I have. Anyway, but that's a good example because I think AJ's a little different because
that card would never make it into his starting lineups.
Right. Exactly. So there are people who win the super rares like that and use them, but there are people who either, they win I bought an MLS super rare, and the person I bought it from has 0 MLS cards and obviously no interest in MLS.
I see.
So it's like, okay, let me try to get this card. And I made the offer, and the response, which I thought was completely appropriate, was convince me that's a good offer, because I don't have the time to figure out if it is for that little amount of money, which was a lot of money for me. And it's like, okay, I get it. I made my case. We agreed on a price, and I got the super rare card. But like, I think, so I'm not, it sounds like I'm saying like, just go spam the whales for all of their super rares because they get too many of them. Yeah. But I think you could do that. I think that might be the right way to go.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
There are so many cards that there are a number of managers that own just so many cards that they don't use. And whether they want to keep them all because they like collecting them, like there are reasons why people don't play. But there are plenty of people who are like, yeah, I'll happily sell this card because I have no interest in it and I don't want to take the effort to like figure out what I should price it for, and just make me an offer that's reasonable.
Right.
But I think if you do that strategy, you need to realize that you can't go in there thinking, I'm going to screw this person.
I'm going to rob this guy blind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, these people aren't stupid. So yeah, you have to make a good offer, but they might have, hands that are, weaker hands for those types of players where they're willing to give them up and not juice you.
Seems like it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But Quinny somehow has 19 MLS super rares and doesn't play D2.
Crazy.
Quinny, what are you doing?
Quinny?
Who are we buying here? So I started buying more because I was in MLS, or I'm buying MLS super rares, and to play D3, I can only basically play 4 if I play 2 in America and 2 in Global All-Star. And now that the Euro leagues are coming back, I am now using MLS cards against the Euro super rares, but whatever. So I either buy super rares in a different region, or I buy more MLS super rares to go to D2.
Yeah.
I haven't bought a super rare goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And even though I should have bought Marcinkowski today, but I haven't done it. But do you think, in the same way that we think like, sure, you can win with 5 rares in D3, can I win with a rare goalkeeper in D2?
Sure.
When other people are playing potentially 1 unique.
Yeah, I mean, of course you can. And I think too, like, the nice thing about just buying the super rare goalie, though, is it does give you flexibility in your lineup to where if you wanted to play a different rare goalie, sure. If you want to play a rare defender, you can. If you want to play a rare somewhere else, you can. Like if you want to play a star rare in that lineup, great. So I think that you can do that. I think you're fine if you want to play the goalkeeper, because a lot of times that's not your ceiling player, your high upside player. So fine if they're not going to have your best score. Who cares what the multiplier really is or the bonus? But I think that if you're going to play D2, you might as well just buy the goalkeeper super rare.
As opposed to just better outfield player super rares?
Yeah. Get the goalie.
That wasn't the advice I wanted to hear.
Well, I mean, just the premium.
Sure, just play the rare goalie.
The premium on the super rare goalie is just not that much more. Like we were looking at it earlier, like, and if you want to pull that chart back up, we talked about super rare outfield players being 4 to 5x the rare price. I mean, the goalkeepers are only, I think, 2 to 3x more. So if you wanted to buy, I mean, any of these goalkeepers, you're looking at 2 to 3x.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty dang consistent too across the board. Like Stuver is, what is that, like 2.5x?
Yeah, Miller's only basically less than 2x. at least for actual sales.
Yeah, Miller would be a great one to pick up if you could snag one at that 1 month super rare price right there.
That's
Would be a good one for you too, because you have the Debasi and yeah, and you could buy my Boxel off me, and then you'd have the full stack.
I almost did that. I almost bought a Boxel.
Did you? Sean Johnson right there at 3x. No data on Hamid. Willis is 2x. I wonder if did he really go for 0.6? It seems low for Willis, but I don't know.
It seems like a steal.
Eloy Room, that seems way too high. I bought an Eloy Room super rare for I think like 8 maybe. So I think that's probably closer to his value. So hard to say on some of those numbers because I don't know that they're 100% right. Even look at David Ochoa, like a U23 goalkeeper, when those are super scarce right now. That's right at 3x.
Yeah, that 0.688 is long gone though. He's like,
yeah, you're right. It's closer to 0.8 now. Yeah. So my guess is probably the super rare is probably up over two ETH now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody joined in the last 2 months, joined Sorare, and you want to know what MLS rare goalkeepers cost just before the season, just look at these super rare prices. Actually, yeah. I think Joe Willis was more than 0.6 even. That was a sin.
Yeah. Joe Willis, I think some sold for close to 1 ETH.
Yeah, where's Maurer? Oh, there he is.
Maurer was close to 1 ETH too, I think. But that was a whole nother story where, there were all these existing MLS cards, and then they weren't selling the goalkeepers for some reason. Like we never figured out why.
Never figured that out.
Rewards or whatever, but they weren't auctioning them off. So people knew that, like, if I want a team, I got to go buy one off the secondary market, and all the people that already had cards got to kind of name their price.
Do you think so? Surface brought this up, or said, if you're on a budget D2 team, you want to use your top rare in the outfield, which definitely makes sense to me, but also makes me feel like that hurts my D3.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do about this.
Yeah, I think you just need to
like, is making a budget D2 team worth it?
It can be. It depends on how you assemble it and how you build it. Like, I think that if you if you're gonna stack, you could stack with like certain players or teams or whatever and build a budget. Like, dude, look at Minnesota would be a great example of a budget D2 stack. Because you can get Boxel and Debasi.
You really want me to buy this Boxel card?
I don't. He's hurt right now. You can get a heck of a deal off of me.
He's coming back soon, man. This is
right. Maybe this weekend. We'll see. Any rate, I think that that's how you do it, and you look for like situations like that where like both of the defenders are cheap, but they score. I don't know. They both probably average in the 50s.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then you get a goalkeeper that's good. Like, he's a good goalie. Granted, I don't think Minnesota's been, off the charts this year, but I don't know. I think that could be a good stack. And there's probably other teams with cheapish center backs that you can pick up and run.
Man, now I'm looking at Tyler Miller super rares. Ugh.
Seeing who owns them and seeing if it's somebody.
I was just about to say, who are the whales? Here we go.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's like all of them.
I think I wanted to buy one at one point, but then like he never, before the season, he never like stole the job from St. Clair.
He didn't start.
Yeah, St. Clair had the job for like the first 3 weeks or something, and then finally they were like, okay, this ain't working.
Yeah. They actually weren't even that bad, but then they had like 5 straight clean sheets, and it was like, okay, well, he's never losing the job at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, goalies are the weird one though, because like I think if you look at like the top end guys, like your Courtois and Allison, I think that they even follow the rule of like 2 to 3x the rare prices, but you're just talking about so much money at that point. Like Courtois is probably like, I don't know, 3 ETH or something. I don't have it up in front of me, but it's probably something ridiculous.
They just don't really sell.
Oh God, was that 5 ETH? Yeah,
that's wild.
So I mean, Courtois is over 3x. It's like 3.5x or something.
Well, what's absolutely wild about that Courtois price is that the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys and 6 of the next 7 are U23s.
Yeah, I wonder if that's real or if that's like was inflated because of the Belgian cards or something. Like maybe that was a Belgian super rare or something that sold really high. Be my guess.
Should it matter?
Yeah, because people like people were loving those Belgian cards.
Yeah, 5.377 auction. Let's see who won this puppy.
It's probably like Grisou or something.
Sam Ruan. Sam Ruman.
That's what I think. Surface is. It's one of the inflated, Euro cards.
That's a wild price.
Yeah, it is.
Goodness.
Scroll up. Isn't Allison above him? Or is that all the way? You're looking at the top.
This is the top. Allison was in the. He was ranked first or ranked higher. Nobody's buying or selling Allison's.
Yeah. Oh man, I wonder what the Mignon super rare would be. I guess around 3. It's crazy that the Mignon.
You can buy one today for 9.
Man.
Maybe you can get it for 8.5 with your rare.
Yeah, so that's a good transition because I was chatting with you earlier and talking about like a lot of the super rares that I like to target are guys that I already own rare cards of. And my reasoning for that is like I personally like to not have to do like ridiculous amounts of research because I've got a full-time job here. I gotta still like I can't be researching all day. So it is nice to like already know about a player and just be able to purchase the better version of their card. And then typically I like to like justify it to myself like, oh, well, I'll just sell the rare and then that'll help pay for the super rare. Guess what ends up happening? We know.
You have 2 cards.
But I have done it in the past where I did sell the rare. Or like Leon Bailey was one where I sold the rare, but I actually had 2 rares when I bought the super rare. So I sold one of the rares at least.
Didn't you?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of funding super rares sometimes.
Didn't you do that with Polito?
I did, yeah. But that was a pal trader deal. So
So it actually didn't even matter. Like he didn't care that he was getting Polito back. He was just getting a number.
He was getting like whatever the 0.2 was. He was considering that to be 0.2 and then whatever ETH. Because it was mostly an ETH deal. So I think I offered him mostly ETH and then it was like, I'll give you a Polito rare on top to sweeten it up.
It worked.
It did, I guess.
I think the easy justification though is that like you obviously liked the player before. That's why you bought the rare card.
Yeah.
And so of course
buy the better version of the thing that you already like.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a better version of what you already have.
So you have 2 Reynosos, right?
I do. I was looking at Reynoso super rares the other day.
Were you?
Yes.
What's that going to cost you now that he's had a couple good games or just the one?
No, like 3.
Is it like 3 in a row?
Yeah. Hey, I'll be honest. Oh no, it's only 2. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little Rusnaki on Reynoso here.
Yeah.
It was a little different though because I bought Reynoso at like what was it? 0.19. It was a secondary deal. Like I negotiated with somebody. I forget what it was. And I thought it was an absolute steal. And he was horrible after that, like so bad. And I basically got caught bidding up on an auction and won the next one for 0.99 or something. And I'm like, this is half of what I paid like a week ago. Like it was a 1 week window where his price just absolutely tanked. And he's starting to play a little bit better now. But like, sure, I'll trade 1 ETH for a super rare. But I'm just not sure. Like, if somebody came to me and was like, I'll give you ETH and a Rusnak rare, like I don't want that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I find it just really like I've had people.
I think you're thinking about it the wrong way though. What if a Reynoso super rare came up on auction?
No, I'm definitely bidding.
You're gonna try to buy it, and then you just sell one of the rares. So you don't even have to deal with a human being to make that.
You're absolutely right about that. Like that I would do. But like I'm not going to do the deal that I want. Like I'm not going to accept a deal that I want somebody else to accept.
Right.
Like I want to churn one of my Reynoso rares and not have to pay full price for a super rare. But like if somebody came to me and said that, I'd laugh at them.
The only person I would even attempt to do that with is probably Powell or I don't know, one of the big traders.
But he's not even like it almost doesn't even matter. Like if I just gave him a similarly priced card that wasn't Reynoso, it's.
But what are you gonna do with 3 Reynosos? Like that's a good card to just toss in there to sweeten the, right?
Isn't that what you mean by stacking? Just playing the same guy in every division, in every region, or division.
I like the player. What can I say?
Right. Well. Yeah, the fact that I bought 2 is a little embarrassing. I feel like I have 2 Casper Shabilkos, but I won one. Right. And that's a card that I really wanted for a while. And I like finally bought it. And then I won like the next week. And I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, now everybody knows I want a Reynoso, but I don't know. But yeah, so that was the other thing. So, do you sell super rares?
I haven't had very good luck selling them.
But you tried to sell them.
Maybe certain ones. Like, I think if I could sell, like right now, if somebody came to me and like, I have a hard time with it, like pricing it properly, and I think that's part of the struggle too.
Yeah.
Because I always want to, like, if I'm going to sell those, I want to try to get top price out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the people that are wanting to buy those are not wanting to give me top price for them. But like more of like the hype-ish type players, like I think Sakala would be one that like I have that I would be maybe interested in selling. But I tried a couple of times and didn't go through. I probably should have tried right after he scored against Real Madrid, but I probably missed that one. I don't know. I don't sell them a lot. I might trade them, and I did a weird trade where I traded a super rare and didn't get a super rare back.
Did you get a unique back? Because that's the only way I do it.
No. I got ETH, and I was at the time I was wanting to fund something else. And I got ETH and another Carlos Acevedo, who is like the Mexican god right now in goal. So I don't know. That ended up, I think, being a good deal.
So I had somebody contact me before was that this week? When was that LAFC Minnesota game? Was that this game week?
Yeah, it was last game week. Last night.
So somebody contacted me on Monday. That's why, because it was before the game week.
Okay.
So I have a Dabassi rare and super rare, and they asked me how much I wanted for the super rare, and I wasn't. It wasn't for sale. Like I wasn't trying to sell it, and so like I think there were some on the market, but it was a classic. Like the game week is coming up. There's one MLS game. I have a super rare from a guy who's in that game, and it was the classic, like, what do you want for it? And it's like, I don't want, I want to keep the card.
Do you think, I think that there's a lot less like game week FOMO on super rare cards. I think you see it more with rares and especially rare goalies.
I think it's just the population of people playing D3 though, or D2. Like there's just so many more people playing D4 that the rare D-gens have to get their cards.
Right.
I should have just offered him my rare Dabassi though. That was dumb.
Willie says that he wants Sakala because I think he's from Scotland. He's probably a Rangers fan. give you a real nice price for him, Willie.
There you go. Time to post it. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way, I mean, I just don't have enough super rares right now to like say like, oh, let me just start selling them. Like I bought them to play them in D3 and potentially D2. And so if I sell one, now I have to go buy one or else I won't be able to enter these contests. So that's the only reason like I haven't started thinking of selling them yet.
Yeah. Oh man.
No,
You had listed on here ways of acquiring super rares, and you had Pal Trader on your list. Does he have good super rares in his gallery? I guess he probably does. I'm just skimming it right now. Ooh, he's got a Malinowski.
I continue to just always be amazed at how awful the cards he has are.
He does have a lot of bad cards.
Like, and I see it sometimes because I have friends who are like, look at this deal I just got. And I'm like, I've never heard of any of those players. And they're like, well, yeah, they're all like worth 0.01 each, but I have 17 of them. And so now I have a 0.13 player. And I'm like, I was going through the secondary market the other day. I think it was, I was looking for an MLS goalie, of course. So I had it like sorted by MLS goalie. I think it was sorted by, it wasn't by price. Maybe it was listing, but what is his name? Is it Zubak? Is that his last name?
Yeah, I think so.
So Pavel had like 17 of them, all on the market for 0.05. And like I'm scrolling through and I'm like, why are there so many? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all Pavel. And there's so many of them.
I was just like scanning his gallery, and he's got three Simon Delis, which he was like the GOAT center back for Club Brugge, like in the 2018-2019 season, and then he got loaned to Slavia Prague. And it says now he's back at Club Brugge, but he's certainly not going to play there because they'll just either reloan him or sell him or something. So I think it's kind of it was a dead card when he was at Prague, and I think that it's still kind of a dead card until he goes somewhere and starts and can play somewhere, or maybe he's hurt. I have no idea. I don't know what his deal is. But it's just like looking through there, it's like that card was dead last year, and he has 3 of them. But I think he ends up with a lot of cards like that because people find ways to dump them on him.
Yep. I mean, if you just go, like I just pulled his gallery up on Sorare, and like if you just sort by lowest price,
yeah,
like he has 4 Zico Bailey. Like I don't even know who this kid is. He's apparently an MLS player.
Yeah,
like 4 of them, and
he has 3 Knowledge Musonas who just went to the Middle East.
Right.
Super rares.
Super rare. I didn't even do super rare.
Yeah, no, sort by super rares because
859 of them he has.
Yeah, same thing there. He's got 3 junior Marias that plays for Shakhtar.
Yep.
Crazy. Oh, he has another.
Did I end up getting one of my super rares from him? I think it was from somebody else, but he had one. It was the Mabiala one. I forget who I got it from, but he had one, and I remember I did like. I don't know how you price a bad super rare. Like, what is the floor for a super rare? Because at the time, Mabiala was a bad super rare.
I have a bad one. Daniel Royer. I don't know what to do with that card. And I just won a Sean Nealis. Like, they're like kind of dead cards of DNP.
No, Nealis is back soon, I think.
Oh, okay. Daniel
Royer when you're in trouble, though.
Yeah, that's just a dead card, right? I mean, like I think I had him listed at 0.1 and he didn't sell. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna like. I guess I could list him for lower than that, but then what's the point?
Right.
I guess I could keep coming down. It's just it hurts.
So there you go. Surface has an Ethan Finley super rare for 0.08.
Yeah.
You know who he plays for?
No.
Minnesota.
There you go.
He fits right into my stand. I'll get Surfaces, Ethan Finley. I'll take your Boxall. And now now I just have to get Miller. Oh man, nothing
Hey,
like 5-man Minnesota United stack to take down D2.
hey, Willie and Connor, we have a couple of Aberdeen fans there, and we have an MLS player headed your way, Christian Ramirez.
He scored the
Let
other
us
day.
know in chat how you think he's going to do there.
He's already gotten the number 9, and he's scoring goals.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Huh. Good for him.
I saw.
Does he have a super out there that we can poach
right now?
Yeah. I'm sure that he doesn't.
Yeah, Pavel has 17 of them for.
No, he doesn't. Connor has one. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
And yeah, there's a couple more out there, and it looks like at least 2 of them have moved in the last couple months. It's an interesting card, though. That's a weird player because he didn't do anything at Houston. I don't feel like he was really good in Minnesota.
Yeah,
did nothing for 2 years or 2+ years in Houston.
Of all the guys on that team, it was strange to me that he was the one that left and like got a reasonable left to improve.
Right. Yeah, Willie. I thought he was really good in Minnesota, and then in Houston, he just didn't. He didn't crack their starting lineup regularly enough.
No. So Willie's asking us to value his Moses Nyman super rare 1 of 10. Oh, so
pull that up on the rankings page. It said Moses Nyman.
Let's see here. I don't even know. I don't think he would even show up.
Yeah, maybe
so
not.
That was the other thing. I don't think 1 of 10s matter. Like, I'm not paying more for a 1 of 10. Like, I think the multiple between 1 of 10 to 5 of 10 is as big as 1 of 100 to 50 of 100.
I think it depends on the player. Like if it's, I don't know, like a 24-year-old average middle of the road guy, I don't think it matters. But I don't know, the 17-year-old player who might have bright future, this might be his quote unquote rookie card, and you got his 1 of. I don't know. I think there could be a premium there.
How much? Because let's see. Here he is. Lowest on the market right now is 0.49.
Yeah. And his lowest rare on the market is 0.07, and one has recently sold for 0.07. I don't know. Probably give it the old 4.5 multiplier and see where that lands you.
I'm going to agree with Quinny that Kevin Paredes is better than Nyman.
Yeah. Isn't there a lot of rooms with Paredes going to Europe? This summer?
Yep.
Yeah.
But he just keeps on crushing.
Yeah, that's a card I feel like I missed out on because they were pretty affordable, cheap, whatever you want to call it, early in this MLS year.
Early in the year, yeah. Where is he? He's got to be this way, right? There he is. Number 8. Look at that.
That's crazy.
I have one. El Temp. I wish I wanted to skip this, but now Surface is writing back. Thoughts on Niitz Goda? He is one of those, like I was looking at him while I was looking at Rusnak. Like he's a Portland Timbers designated player coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
Nobody knows when he's coming back. And I absolutely put in like lowball offers for super rare. And everybody who I tried to get was smart enough not to sell him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super rare sell for pretty cheap. 0.2, 0.1.
Niitz Goda?
6. What's that?
Who's his 0.2?
Well, it's sold for that.
Oh.
Niitz Goda, like earlier in the year.
When he was way out.
How many guys did they have ACLs out on? Because they had Blanco out too, right?
I literally read an article yesterday, or maybe it was today, about the two of them like bonding over ACL recovery.
I have to check the surface that they're playing on over there.
Not bad. Yeah. So I felt like there was another topic I wanted to talk about. Oh, you put this in our notes about whether super rares in different regions should have a higher value
or a higher premium.
I think the answer is absolutely yes, but I think that's kind of the case with the rare cards anyway. Like I think MLS cards are cheaper, and MLS is going on now. Like that's why I bought them. But like I don't think I can get comparable scoring Challenger Europe super rares for what I paid for my MLS ones.
Yeah, I think more so what I meant is the premium between a rare and a super rare MLS player different than the premium between a Champion Europe rare and a Champion Europe super rare? Is like the multiplier between those cards higher?
Right.
And I think that, like, if you looked at the average, the answer would probably be yes, just based on like the top guys. I think stretching it out, like, I don't know what a Ronaldo super rare is, but it kind of messes with the numbers there a little bit because it's probably like 15 ETH or something really high. And I think that it just
Mbappe breaks everything. So
right, that does too. So or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. What the last Mbappe super rare go for? Like 40 ETH or something? And I mean, the rares are trading for 13, 15. I mean,
I'm guessing they just don't trade enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just look at the one sale that it had.
I mean, the last Mbappe.
I know.
The last Mbappe super rare auction for 40 ETH.
Yeah.
So I think it's broken.
But then we had HG on here last week saying that he sold and bought one for right around 10 or 11 or something. So, I mean, 4X, right?
4X, that's fair.
It's kind of weird that even on those like 40 ETH players, it's still kind of falling in that rule of, I don't know, 3.5 to 5X.
The Mbappe 3 of 10 went for 58 and a half. 58.
That might have been the one though that had like the special design, the Liquid Dream or whatever. It wasn't?
Nope.
Huh. Was it the 4 of 10 that had the Liquid Dream?
His rare card the day before that went for 22 ETH.
That was just a March sale then.
February 27th.
It was La Boom.
Yes.
La Boom.
The good old days.
Oh man.
Just so the prices for, I'm just going to read these off. For Mbappe rare cards, 1.459, 2.9, 3.0. That's February 18th. February 21st, 8.8, 8.7, 15.7, 19.5, 22, 15. That was 3.1. That's March 1st, not January 3rd. And then in June, it went to 6. But I'm guessing that was when ETH went up. But anyway.
Yeah.
But you're right. The multiple is about the same.
Yeah, talk about like the market being wrong on that one at the very beginning. Like they were trading around 2 to 3, or they were auctioning for like 2 to 3 ETH a piece. And it's like, you look at them now, it's like, God, why didn't I just buy one? Why didn't I buy one?
I don't know why you didn't buy one. I know why I didn't buy one, but I don't know why you didn't buy one.
Yeah, I don't know. So disappointed.
What's funny is that, like, I've spoken to people who don't have like the biggest of galleries, but they have an Mbappe, and I'm like, how does that happen? And they're like, well, it was like, 2 ETH. Not to say they have like small galleries, but they're like, yeah, it was 2 ETH. And now it's like, 20. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I wonder, like, would you be better off, like, if you just sold that and then like bought a Champion Europe team for 20 ETH?
Just bought what?
A Champion Europe D2 team for 20 ETH.
So I talked about this with Sean earlier this week when I was in line to potentially win a Neymar. And I was saying to him that if I didn't get Neymar, this is how greedy I am.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't get Neymar, I really wanted a Van de Voort.
Yeah.
But for me, like the way that I play, if I won Van de Voort, the 100% right move would be to immediately sell him, buy whoever the next best U23 goalkeeper is, whether it's like Okoye or it's probably Okoye because he has 2 years left. But like to buy a different U23 goalie and then use the ETH difference because Van de Voort's literally like twice the price, or at least he was as of like last week.
Right.
But like that's what I should do. And like if I had won Neymar, like keeping Neymar, I guess I keep Neymar. Neymar's probably a little different because of the collectibility, but like those cards, it just made much more sense to just sell them.
Yeah. A goalkeeper is a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper. So
right. So if I can get 1.2 ETH for a rare goalkeeper, I would rather just pay
and then buy a Choa for 0.7 or whatever.
Right.
And then you have a half ETH now to, build a team around him.
Or buy another U20. Like I could have 2 U23 goalkeepers for the price of Van de Voort.
Yeah.
Didn't get him anyway. Didn't matter.
Yeah, I guess the advantage of Van de Voort is he's like, 19 years old or something? So he's got like 4 years where you don't have to worry about it.
But
I guess, I don't know.
But who knows what can happen? Like, I don't know.
But I guess my point is you have 4 years where his value will be high. If you did want to resell him or whatever, at any point over those 4 years, you're going to get that top price for him. But like the moment your guy turns, we saw it with Van Asch and we joked about it, and I know Quinny's got one now, but the moment he went from like 23 to 24, it was like, oh, we will reduce his price by like 3x.
Yeah.
And it did. He went from like almost, and that was kind of during the boom as well, but like he went from like being like a 0.7, 0.8 player to 0.25 cheapest challenger goalkeeper you can buy.
So what I actually thought was really funny about that is there are so many people who buy these cards and they're like, 10 years of utility.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's 24, he still has 10 to 15 years of utility. Like from a utility standpoint, nothing really changes other than the fact that you can't play him in U23 now. But from like actually being able to use his card somewhere, that was just such a ridiculously drastic drop. But it was less about that, obviously, than the fact that there are just so few U23 goalies and now we have one fewer because he left.
Yeah. But you don't have to worry about that problem. You won Carlos Skeel, and you can captain him in all your lineups now and be I don't know, a champion for the rest of your time here in Champion America.
That's my plan. I wish MLS played year round. I'm going to start I got to call Don Garber and be like.
We made that joke so many times last October, November, because MLS was really the time that I started taking this game more seriously. So like I only had like kind of like randomly built teams and I didn't put a lot of thought into things. But when MLS came along, that's when I really started to like pour more money into the game and, have a lot more thought into the players that I was buying and the lineups that I was building. So obviously I was doing well because I had the right players and the right lineups. And like when the season ended, I was like, oh, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Can we just keep doing that?
Can we just keep doing that? Yeah.
It's like, no, I have 5 months of not getting to do this. And then the pandemic hit.
But then MLS is back tournament. Yay.
There we go. Yeah.
I wasn't nearly active enough at that point. That feels
That's
like
right. Surface is right. Last year was just Laderoing your way to podiums. That's all you needed was a Ladero.
Right. So now I'm
hoping
to
get a
just
Ladero for
pretty
pretty cheap. And I hear Ladero's back on the training ground as well. With a target, I think a target date of their Portland game in late August. I think it's August 26th, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here we go. David said he sold his Nyman super rare yesterday for 0.315.
Okay.
That seems reasonable. 17-year-old kid. I don't know. I just like, they're really tough to price. That's all.
Anybody that's like not, and I don't know Nyman. Maybe he does score pretty decently, but any of those like super young guys that are not cracking lineups are really hard to judge. Like Ochoa last year, like when he wasn't playing or anything, like look at some of the early prices on Ochoa.
I mean, there was like a reasonable argument that he wasn't going to start this year, like leading up to the first game.
Sure.
And there was some very significant price increase once he, let me see here. Yeah, like March 10th, he auctioned at 0.24.
Yeah.
2.6, 2.9, like
that was the height of like we don't know what's happening with Ochoa.
Right.
Like he could play, maybe not.
I don't know why they would have picked January 26th for his first super rare auction. I was going to ask, do you know what that went for?
I do, because I'm part of the story.
You are the story.
I didn't
buy
buy
this card.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, you own the card now, at least.
I do. I bought the two of 10.
Oh, okay.
And then it was Football Index Duncan or Dunwell. I had already talked to him a couple of times about something else, and I was like, "Hey, man, if I just trade you this card, and I think it was 0.05 ETH, I'd like to have the 1 of 10." And he was like, "Sure, yeah, like no questions asked." He had no problem moving it for 0.05 and the 2 of 10 for the 1 of 10, which I don't know whether that's like you mentioned, you don't give a rat's ass over whether that's the 1 of 10 or 2 of 10 or whatever. I don't know, for 0.05, it's cool because I own the 1 of 10 or 1 of 100 rare. So now I have the 1 of 10 and the 1 of 100. So to me, it was worth the 0.05. To other people, it probably wouldn't matter, care. And in the end, it's just a goalkeeper who, I don't know. If he ends up being like the national team goalkeeper someday, great.
Sure.
Then I've made a good move there, I think. But if he's just another guy, then it doesn't matter.
1 of 100 sold for 0.07 and 1 of 10 auctioned for 0.08. It's the good old days of Sorare.
Yeah.
Right there.
Granted, at both of those times, there was really no rumblings of him being the starter.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
He's just this young guy that's on the platform. Like he's some young goalkeeper, and we see goalkeepers like that all the time where they just auction and it's just like, oh, like that Nick Shinton from Bruges, like young goalkeeper. Yeah, I got burned by that too. I thought that he was going to be the starter. Like I think I won his card, so it didn't really matter. But
I paid for mine.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
I'd like to trade it for an Ochoa if that's possible. 0.08?
I don't think so.
No.
But I think that was a situation too where it was just like another young guy. Schubert, yeah, that's an awesome example, Quinny, where it's just like he's just a guy. Anybody could pick him up for nothing, and then now he's got a job, and all of a sudden he's worth 0.4. So
I had this conversation today. This will be the last. It has nothing to do with super rares, but I'm going to ask you, and then we're going a little long here. But somebody said that they have 4 pretty good U23 outfield players, and was wondering if it's worth just buying a nobody U23 goalie who doesn't play just to submit a lineup into D4. Do you think that's reasonable?
All-star D4?
Yeah. No. U23 D4.
Oh man. Midweeks, yes. Like I think that you can certainly win cards with 4 outfielders and if it's a short midweek, where maybe there's not a U23 goalkeeper even playing. Like this midweek, was there a U23 goalkeeper that played?
I think there was
LAFC's, but he doesn't have a card.
I thought there was one. I could be wrong though. I didn't have him. So.
Well, I'm just trying to think. In Argentina, is there any U23 goalies? No, there probably wasn't. So like,
it wasn't Bigelow. Didn't they play?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right.
I think he was it.
So maybe there was one, but like even then, like okay, all those people aren't going to have perfect lineups. So if you have a good lineup with 4 good outfield players and a DNP goalie, you can probably steal a card. But like, I don't know if that's like I wouldn't make that like my strategy. Like if you're going to play U23, plan on having a common goalkeeper or plan on buying a goalie. Like I wouldn't say that like the strategy should be just buy a goalkeeper that at least lets you submit the lineup. I don't think that that's like that. I don't think that's like a viable strategy. Like you can do it if you're already like in your gallery you have this U23 goalkeeper that doesn't play and 4 guys. Yes, do it. But I wouldn't like make that into a strategy. Like thinking that you're going to like win cards doing that.
How much do you think a David Ochoa common card is worth?
0. How much do you think a David Ochoa uncommon card is worth?
Oh, $8.
What will the price difference between an uncommon and a super rare be?
Oh, and a super rare.
Or just a rare? We can do the math.
That's a good question.
Well, we know that the uncommons won't have the super utility of a rare card. Like the rare cards have like superpowers because they can go into like 10 different divisions. I don't think that there's any chance in hell that an uncommon does that. So I think I think the multiplier on them is going to be quite low.
I mean, rares can go in as many as super rares, right? They can both be played in 3.
No, super rares. Well, yeah, but does Division 1 count?
For a super rare?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, does that count as a division? Because there's like 20 people to play it.
Those are the people that are winning the super rares that I have to go get. That's the point.
Oh,
I need them to keep winning them because they don't use them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a slope I want to go down. Okay. I think we've gone a little long here, so we'll cut that off. There. So yeah, once again, this is the SorareAndrews podcast brought to you by RotoWire and sponsored by Sorare. We will be back next week with another topic. I don't think we have one yet, do we?
No.
Yeah, we got nothing. So if anybody has anything you want us to touch on, please feel free to let us know. You can find me on Twitter at RotoWireAndrew. Andy is at ablack86, also available in the Sorare Discord. I'm at Lairdinho. Are you at Black there? I think you are. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. You can find us there. So check us out. Let us know what you want to hear about, and we can talk about it. Andy, I'll talk to you next week.
See ya.